is Keely Hodgkinson. Opened her season over 800 meters in Eugene just a couple of weeks ago with a 1:55.78 clocking. Just 0.6 of a second shy of her British record, Tim. And surely Keely Hodgkinson is one of the biggest favourites at this European Championships as she lines up in lane number 7 to try and defend her title.
Absolutely, Kath, yes. Keely out in lane 7 should be an outstanding favourite here. She is the outstanding favourite. She's defending champion. I wonder if the two French, Candusinon or Bourgoin, will run as a pairing, or if the two Poles, Vilgosh or Sana, will run as a pairing. Frankly, when she's fit and healthy and everything's okay, Keely Hodgkinson is head and shoulders above the rest. But she feels nerves like everybody else. There's no doubt about that. She just needs to get this right, as she's done many times already this season.
The final of the women's 800 metres. Keely Hodgkinson moving nicely into potentially a leading position as they go down the back straight for the first time. And happy, Tim, to slot herself into the lead in this final and make herself a target as they hit the 200-metre point.
Absolutely, Kath. She's head and shoulders above the rest of this field under normal circumstances. This is not normal. This is championship racing. No pacemakers here. But she looked fabulous in her qualifying heat a couple of days ago, and she looks comfortable enough here. Vilgosh, though, always a danger. The Poles are always very, very astute racers. 1:59.07, a personal best in her semi-final.
So they're strung out in this women's 800-metre final, coming up to the halfway point. Hodgkinson leading the way. Vilgosh of Poland on the shoulder of the British athlete, 58.51 at the 400-metre point.
Yeah, that's nice and steady for Keely Hodgkinson. She should be able to push on from this, indeed, almost run negative splits under normal circumstances. Hodgkinson, we know she's in great shape. Recently ran a personal best for 400 metres. She has the speed, she has everything in her armoury to defeat this field.
But they're queuing up behind Hodgkinson. France and Poland on the shoulder of the British athlete. There's still about 6 athletes in this with 200 metres to go. But Keely Hodgkinson is trying to stretch away from the field, trying to stretch away from Bourgoin of France on the inside line. The flowing blonde hair of Keely Hodgkinson. She looks up at the scoreboard right in front of her here on the screen, and now she eases away. Hodgkinson pushing for another British gold, pushing to defend her title, but she's going to have to run through the line here, and she does. Woo! 1:58.66. She looks up to the sky. Gashanova on the inside line, Tim. Wow. The Slovakian athlete was pushing and closing on Keely Hodgkinson, but 1:58.65. Back-to-back titles for Keely Hodgkinson, a 1:58.79 for Gabriela Gajanova of Slovakia picking up the silver, and Bourgoin of France the bronze.
Wow, that was tight, wasn't it? Keely making hard work of that, and I think it's only fair that we tell you now that we have heard a rumour that Keely has been ill.
58.65 seconds. That looks routine for an elite women's 800-meter final. It is not. Because Keely Hodgkinson crossed the line with a Slovak athlete closing at roughly 0.4 meters per second, faster than her over the final 50 meters. The margin at the tape was 14 hundredths of a second. 14 hundredths. That is the width of a single athletic decision made correctly under maximum physiological stress. By the end of this breakdown, you will see exactly why that decision was the race. Hodgkinson had opened her 800-meter season in Eugene with a 1:55.78, only 0.6 off the British record. She arrived in Rome as world leader, defending European champion, and the only athlete in this final whose seasonal best sat under 1:56. 5 other finalists had already broken 2 minutes. France brought 2 runners capable of coordinated front pressure. Poland brought a tactically intelligent racer off a 1:59.07 personal best in the semi-final. And Slovakia had a sprinter type who would sit, wait, and accelerate late with a reported final 200-meter split, faster than anyone else in the field. The question at the gun was not whether Hodgkinson was the best athlete in the race. She was. The question was, what happens when the best athlete is also the only logical target, and every rival builds their race plan around breaking her? She chose to lead from the front. That sounds simple. It is not. In championship racing without pacemakers, the athlete who leads sets the tempo for everyone behind. They absorb the wind. They make the pace decisions. They give every rival a visible reference point. They become the target. Most athletes in Hodgkinson's position would prefer to sit in the pack through 300 meters, preserve glycogen, and launch from cover. Hodgkinson went to the front immediately. Here is why that was technically correct. Hodgkinson's primary physiological advantage is not her finishing kick. It is her ability to sustain a high aerobic output over the full race. Her 400-meter personal best of approximately 51.5 seconds gives her the raw speed to close, but her real edge is lactate threshold management over 600 to 700 meters. Leading at a controlled pace, one she dictates, reduces the risk of a chaotic mid-race surge that could spike blood lactate prematurely and compromise her final straight. She hit 400 meters in 58.51 seconds. That split is deliberate. The sub-58 first lap is available to her, but it costs. At 58.51, she preserves roughly 4 to 6% more glycolytic capacity for the final 200 meters compared to a 57.8 or faster first lap. The rivals behind her, some with weaker aerobic bases but stronger anaerobic closing speed, are hoping she goes faster. She does not give them that. Most people assume that controlling a race from the front is passive. It is not. Leading requires constant micro-adjustments, responding to surges, holding your lane against contact, deciding when to increase cadence versus stride length. Hodgkinson managed all of this while maintaining a stride length of approximately 2.05 to 2.10 meters at race pace, and a cadence around 3.3 to 3.4 steps per second through the second lap. That mechanical efficiency under competitive pressure is not accidental. It is the product of thousands of training kilometers at race-specific intensity. With 200 meters remaining, 6 athletes were still in genuine medal contention. This is where the race becomes a biomechanical problem as much as a tactical one. At this point in an 800, blood lactate is rising sharply. The body is shifting from aerobic dominant to anaerobic dominant energy systems. Form breakdown is the primary risk. The athletes who hold posture, keep their hips tall, and maintain arm drive will resist the deceleration longer than those who tighten. Hodgkinson's known technical strength is form retention under fatigue. Coming off the final bend, her trunk angle stays close to vertical, around 5 to 8 degrees of forward lean, and her arm mechanics continue to drive backward past the hip rather than crossing the center line. Both of these maintain stride efficiency when the legs are compromised. The French challenger pushed on the inside line. Hodgkinson held her position without drifting, which means she was still producing enough force through her stance phase to resist lateral pressure. Then, Gabriela Gasanova came. The Slovak athlete's final 50 meters were run at a pace approximately 2 to 3% faster than Hodgkinson's. Put yourself in Hodgkinson's position for a second. You can see nothing behind you. Your legs are at maximum lactate load, and your only signal that someone is closing is peripheral vision and sound. The correct response is not to panic and shorten the stride. It is to maintain the mechanical pattern and trust the pace you have already set. She held form. She held pace. She crossed at 1:58.65. The margin over Gasanova was 14 hundredths. What is striking about this race is that Hodgkinson won it tactically before she ran it. By dictating the pace at 58.51 for the first lap, she denied the anaerobic specialists the slow then fast race they needed. Gasanova's closing speed was real, but it came from too far back because the pace had been honest enough to spread the field. Had the first lap been a slow 60 seconds, that closing speed would have been decisive. The deciding factor was first lap pace selection, not finishing speed. 14 hundredths of a second separates gold from silver, but the reason it was that close, rather than comfortable, is that Hodgkinson ran the minimum pace necessary to build enough of a gap through 600 meters, and no faster. That is elite race intelligence. There is a controversial element worth naming. Several analysts post-race questioned whether leading from the front was the right call, given that Hodgkinson was reportedly carrying illness into this final. Running from behind would have reduced her total anaerobic load in the middle section of the race. The counter-argument is that a slow, tactical race favors exactly the athletes she most needed to beat. Both positions have merit. The result vindicates her choice, but the margin suggests it was genuinely close. What this race teaches, and what to watch for in any future 800-meter championship final, is the relationship between first lap pace and closing dynamics. When the leader sets an honest 58 to 59 second first lap, the race is almost always decided by form retention and race sense. When the first lap is slow, 60 seconds or above, it becomes a pure speed contest in the final straight, and the athlete with the fastest 200 meters wins regardless of aerobic capacity. Hodgkinson's value is maximized by the former scenario. Her rival's value peaks in the latter. Watch the 400-meter split in any major 800-meter final. That single number tells you more about who will win than any other data point in the race. Drop a comment below with your question about championship running, and we will build the next breakdown around it. Subscribe and hit the bell. Every race has a number that explains the result. We find it